Hi everyone, my name is Dan Bukmarovich and I'm a Diamond Team Beachbody coach and been doing it for about 3 years. And I want to just tell you welcome to the 14-day clean eating challenge. This is going to be a great 14 days together, and the reason why I think it's going to be is because I think we're going to learn together. The name of my company is actually called Let's Go Fitness, and Let's Go means that we're going to do things together. And so over the next 14 days we're going to travel together in order to just gain more information about what it means to eat clean and eat healthy. And then we're also going to share that information collectively. So I want you to know that I'm not like the guru on the stage that has it all figured out. I'm definitely in process along with you, but I do want to help because I think I'm a decent at facilitating getting people together and help guiding the process. We do hope that you'll have already downloaded the guide that is up in the Files tab above at the top of this group, and make sure that you are able then to get that downloaded, read through it, and begin shopping properly for your foods. Because the idea is, I know you maybe heard the phrase that abs are made in the kitchen, but the deal is that abs are not made in the kitchen. Abs are actually made at the grocery store or wherever you buy your food, because that's where the decisions are made. So if that food ever makes it back into your house, that is the big thing that's the difference. So if the Oreos never make it back into your house, never make it into the shopping cart, then they won't make it back to your house. So the better planning that we can do ahead of time to make our meals healthier, to make them cleaner, the better off you're going to be. So that's a little bit about what we're going to do today. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story, and then I'm going to give you some tips as we head in through the next 14 days. So my story begins back in, way back when, as food habits were set up when I was a young child. And I was raised up in an ethnic family. My name is Bukmarovich. I'm Serbian. So a lot of ethnic food was in on that. And as ethnic food tends to be, it tends to be pretty high in fat and pretty high in carbs, especially simple carbs. And so I'd eat a lot of potatoes, a lot of meats with a lot of fat in them, and it was all good stuff, but those were the habits that I sort of took with me through life. And then at a point back in 2008, I lost my dad. He passed away from type 2 diabetes after a long battle with it. And I saw what it did to him, and I also saw what it did to my mom, and I decided at that point that I didn't want to do the same thing to my wife and have that deal with the repercussions of type 2 diabetes, which was the path I was sort of heading down. Maybe not as bad, maybe not as fast, but understanding that if I kept up those same habits, I would be in trouble. And so I decided to make a switch, and I started with some Beachbody programs like P90X and Insanity. And the thing about those programs is they were great, and I increased in strength, and I was able to do more pull-ups and more push-ups. But here's the thing, the cage around me didn't really change. I had this kind of gut, the diabetic gut, was still continuing on. And the reason why, and I kept trying, maybe I'll do more cardio, maybe I'll do more strength, and I just kind of switch things up back and forth, until finally I ended up with a Beachbody coach who said, guess what? Nutrition is 70% of the equation. And so the idea is that if we are able to set up our nutrition properly, it can really help us break through plateaus. So you can spend that 1 hour a day in the gym, but the other 23 hours of the day, you can eat pretty badly and then wreck all that progress that you did in the gym. So you might have a good heart, but then you've got arteries that are clogged. You might have maybe a good stamina in terms of your cardio ability, but ultimately your blood sugar levels all whacked out, and so inside you're having a lot of problems, and that could deal with other complications like diabetes, high blood pressure, all those things that can be really detrimental to you in your later years and even in the mid years. Okay? So part of my story was moving against some of the habits that I'd set up early in my life, and I wanted to make sure then that as I found freedom and started to eat more and more clean, that I would start offering that freedom to others, which brings us to today, as I would try to help you guys in this journey of learning what it means to eat clean. Okay? And so we'd ask this question, why eat clean? Why eat clean? Why even do it anyway? What's the big deal? There are a lot of great diet foods out there. We can try different things. There's 100-calorie packs of everything running out there. Why don't we just stick to that stuff and let's just count calories and we'll be all in great shape. But here's the deal, guys. Great book, if you want to take a look as a resource, is called Master Your Metabolism by Jillian Michaels. And you go, what, Jillian Michaels? Isn't she the gal who kicks everybody's butt on The Biggest Loser and all that? No. She's actually a very intelligent writer, and she knows what she's talking about, particularly when it comes to what's going inside with your metabolism, and especially the hormones that are helping or hurting your progress. So check out the book called Master Metabolism. If you want to go a little bit further on this, you can find it on Amazon. There's a Kindle version, which is really, really great. And there's also an audio version that I listen to sometimes when I'm traveling in the car. So, but what this is that why eat clean is because the fact is you have a whole battle that's set up against you by the food industry. And I'm not one of those kind of conspiracy guys who thinks everything's a big conspiracy. But I do realize that the food companies are out for you to eat more. That's the thing, and they want you to eat more. And then now that what's happening is because there's this whole concern about diabetes and concern about the diseases that are coming out, is that they have this whole massive amount of diet foods that are coming through. Like you said, the 100-calorie packs and diet everything, light everything, low-fat everythings are out there. The deal about these, though, is they tend to be very processed. And I want you to start to now be, in the next 14 days, we're going to start to shift our minds into a thing that says we want more, to be able to read more of what's on the back of labels. And the truth is, generally, if you can't read a lot of the stuff that's on the back of a label, you probably want to put that item down. Two main rules that I want you to follow. Number one, if a food comes out of the ground, it's good to go. So if at some point it comes out of the ground, or if it's on a tree, or it's in a bush, or if it's just coming out of a plant, or whatever, you eat the whole plant, that's great. You're in good shape. Number two is if it has had a mama, and that could even be an egg, that's great, a mama. Or if you have any, and I know for some of you that's like an issue, and I'm okay with that. But the idea is, if it has some form of mama, you're going to have it's a more natural approach. So you're going to get proteins that are leaner, or that are more natural specifically. And then also we're going to really look at the calorie contents of all this stuff. But those are two specific rules in terms of eating clean that will really, really help you. What we're going to do now is I want you to understand a little bit about the guide. So you're going to have the guide is set up, and you've got meal ideas. There's mixing and matching that is allowed within all of this. And what our goal is not so much about the whole sense of calorie counting. And though that is important, calories don't tell the only thing about our eating. So we have to certainly keep within confines, but it's the what kind of calories that we want. So as a rule, you're looking for our three main macronutrients. You've got your proteins, you've got your carbs, and you've got your fats. So first of all, number one, your proteins. You want to really be looking for good sources of lean protein. That's chicken, that's fish, that's turkey, a little bit of pork, the good kind of pork, so you got to watch that. You want to try to avoid your red meats as a whole if you're going to go there. If you can afford it, bison is probably a good rule versus going the beef world. Though if you do go beef, just make sure to try to go as lean as possible. Okay, so that's your proteins. Number two is your carbs. So watching your carb intake, you want to avoid simple carbs, and that means things like white rice, white bread, white pasta are going to be things I want you to start to consider replacing with whole grain alternatives to that. So brown rice, quinoa, white bread being replaced by whole grain bread, or at least whole wheat bread. Make sure you watch that it's not just enriched whole grain bread, but it's full out whole grains going into that bread, and then also whole grain pasta that can help you as well. As for fats, you just kind of want to avoid your saturated fats and your trans fats, of course. That's like everybody knows that one. And you want to really try to move into your omega-3 fats, which are going to be some of your, like with like avocado. You've got your fish, some of your fish, natural fish have things that are normal good fats that are in them. And then also almonds are a good protein and fat mix, so that's really good. We'll talk more about specifics of that, and that's in the food guide. But I do want you to realize that this is going to be a process. The next 14 days is going to be a process. It will not be magic. A person who is eating pizza rolls and I guess you're going and you're drinking Mountain Dew, and then to suddenly switch over into drinking Evian water and you're eating salmon with spinach, that's a really hard jump. Or tofu, for that matter. So what I'd love for us to do is we're going to take baby steps. And maybe it's just even replacing one meal or two meals a day as we do this. As a process towards clean eating. And I can just say from personal experience, my shopping cart, because I'm the primary shopper for our family, has changed drastically over the last 2 years. In the beginning, I would have, when I go shopping, I'd have a lot of box items and a lot of canned items. That doesn't happen as much. I'm much more hanging out in the vegetable and fruit aisle and in the meats aisle where I'm getting natural stuff out of it. So just understand this is a process, and it's taken me a while to get there. I'm not a perfect eater. I will probably never be a perfect eater. I'm sort of aiming for that 90-95%. If I can be in that range, and then maybe there's a few cheat meals or things that are more intentional and going off the clean eating guide, then that's really, really great. Okay, so I want to tell you welcome and just say thank you once again for joining us on this journey. It's going to be a great 14 days together, and I hope you find this really, really helpful. Let's go.